If you want to do anything from the Openstack command line, you need to make sure that you've got the right credentials. Let me show you. So here I am on the command line. And I can type a command like openstack service list. If I do that, I'm getting this, missing parameters. Set a username, set an authentication URL, set a scope. Now why is it doing that? Well, that's easy to understand. If you want to create a configuration from the Horizon web interface, you provide a login name and a password, right? You need to do something similar from the Linux command line. And there are two ways of doing it. You can run every command with these parameters, --os username, --os auth URL, and --os domain name. Alternatively, you can source a credentials file. Typically, after the installation of Openstack, you'll get credentials files. And if you don't have them, you can install them yourselves. If I'm typing ls here on the Red Hat all-in-one, then we can see that there's a Keystone rc_admin. And there's a Keystone rc_user1. So Keystone rc_admin is the name that this system is using for the admin credentials file. The Openstack administrator is the cloud administrator. So as a cloud administrator, specific tasks can be done. Keystone rc_user1 is a tenant user, and a tenant user has different credentials, so it also needs a different credentials file. The Red Hat credentials files are relatively simple. If you look at the Keystone rc_admin to start with, you can see that it's just a bunch of variables that has been specified. os_username. You can see the variable here. You can see the error message referring to the os_username. Then there is the password, which is the password for that user, and the authentication URL, which is the URL that the user needs to authenticate on. Within Openstack, it's very important to specify which tenant or project a user belongs to. And that is what OS tenant name is doing. So this is the admin tenant. That's the area of Openstack where the cloud administrator is creating infrastructure. And OS region name is the last variable that we can see here, specifies the region that this administrator is working in. We have seen that there's also a Keystone rc_user1 file. And as you can see, it's pretty similar. So the authentication URL is the same. That's the Keystone URL, so that's where the users are going to. And instead of admin, we have user1 and we have password. And you can see that OS tenant name is set in this case to project1, in contrast to the OS tenant name admin for the administrative user. What Red Hat RDO automatically adds to your Openstack configuration is a new definition of a prompt. So ps1 equals, and here the prompt is set to Keystone _user1. In here, the prompt is set to Keystone _admin, and that is very convenient because it redefines the shell prompt of your computer. So based on these credentials files, I can source one of the credentials files. You can see that the prompt is now redefined, and from this new environment, I can try using the Openstack service list command again. And the result is now that I actually get the output of the command, which shows all the different services that are displayed in Openstack. And that is how credentials files are used if you want to connect to Openstack from a Linux command line, and if you want to use the different commands that are available for managing Openstack parameters.